All right, Richies. Last night, part 2 of the Vanderpump Rules reunion dropped. And as is the case with these reunions, the cast delivered the drama.
Arisha, calm down.
I know.
Too excited.
I can't. This was actually, we'll get into it. We'll get into it.
All right. Yeah. So I gotta say, tensions were high between Lala Kent, my bitch, and a lot of other people on the show, actually.
Yeah. It was the Lala show last night.
Of course. Yeah.
From Wondery, I'm Marisha Skidmore-Williams.
And I'm Brooke Siffrin. It's Wednesday, May 22nd.
And you're listening to Rich and Daily. So, like we said, last night was part 2 of the Vanderpump Rules reunion. And unlike part 1, Tom Sandoval wasn't in the hot seat this time. Don't worry, the teaser for next week shows that he's heading back there.
Yeah.
But instead, this part picked up where part 1 left off, which is when Lala Kent was accusing Katie Maloney of not being 100% authentic on the show.
Yeah.
And so last night we picked up there. And Katie said she didn't like being called fake and phony for not wanting to air out past drama.
Yeah, so when Andy Cohen asked Lala about the current state of her friendship with Katie, Lala assumed they would be on the up after the reunion, but Katie made it very clear that she did not agree. And Katie said, "This is just bullshit. I'm not going to be told what I think and feel. If I had something to say, I would fucking say it." And we know they are not on the best terms right now. So
yeah, one of them unfollowed one of them, right?
Lala unfollowed Katie.
Lala. Okay, yeah. But Katie was not the only one that Lala faced off with. She also came for Ariana, who was, of course, famously cheated on by Tom Sandoval last year.
Wait, what? When did that happen?
I know. You missed it. You really should catch up on reality TV. I don't know why you don't watch it.
Okay.
So throughout this past season, Ariana has made it very clear that she wouldn't put herself in situations where she had to be around Tom, which isn't all that different from the boundaries that Lala put up after her messy split from her daughter's baby daddy, Randall Emmett. He'd allegedly cheated on Lala, so she broke off their engagement. And then on the show, she was super vocal about not wanting her friends to hang out with him. He's kind of like a dunderhead, right? Do people even want to hang out with him?
Randall? I mean, he's so shady. Like, there's a whole Hulu doc about how shady this guy is. It's not just cheating. He's trash. Like he's a terrible person. Why would anyone
even want to hang out with him is my question.
Pickleball court.
Okay.
You know?
Right.
It's hard to turn
down.
Well,
my friend told me you can join anyone's pickleball game, so you can find
tell
a different
Tom Schwartz
person.
That, because he wants to play with Randall.
But the way that Lala treated everyone when she was going through her breakup is why some people in the cast have trouble understanding why she would have a hard time understanding Ariana's boundaries with Sandoval.
Right. So Lala says that there's a difference. We just said she and Randall do have a child together, and they are, I think, still in the middle of a custody battle. And Lala said, "I was fighting for the well-being of my child. Unless you have a child and you've been in my situation, you'll never understand it."
Well, okay, real quick to that. I can understand you haven't been in my situation, you can't understand it, but I do not like whenever someone's like, unless you have a child. It's like, I can understand things without having a child. I can understand what it's like to go through pain because my leg got cut off without having my leg cut off. I hate when people say that. Can you, though? Yes, I can.
Your legs weren't even made for standing. Do they even have feeling
in them? Exactly. I know what it's like.
How could you possibly know? I think she just means the severity of the breakup is different when you have a kid. I think that's all she was saying. I don't think she meant you don't understand what it's like to have a kid.
No, it's just the way that people, this stuff comes up a lot. And I think it's like, just because you have a kid, I don't think that makes you all of a sudden better at understanding emotions and feelings. It's like, yeah, I might not have experienced it, but that doesn't mean I can't understand the experience of it and that it's traumatic. And just because it's traumatic for you doesn't mean because of this X, Y, and Z doesn't mean it can't be traumatic for somebody else who doesn't have X, Y, and Z. It's a different thing for them. It's just like, okay, you're not in her situation.
Listen, I know that you're like the biggest Ariana stan on the planet,
Shut
but
up.
You gotta take that out of it, okay?
Shut up.
So Katie jumped in to defend Ariana and said that she's still allowed to have boundaries with Sandoval. And Lala pushed back and brought up that she doesn't understand it because Ariana was still living in the same house with Tom at the time.
But she's sleeping down the hall from him and has a new boyfriend. I think that I would have been given the side eye had I looked at Schwartz and said, "How dare you play pickleball with him?" And then I'm sleeping at the house and living there, and I've moved on and had got a new boyfriend not 10 days later.
So Ariana told Lala that she was supportive of her boundaries with Randall and only wanted the same in return. And when Lala said she still didn't understand the situation, Ariana said she didn't have to understand it. She just needed to respect her wishes. And I do agree with Ariana here. I do agree with that. Like, you don't have to understand the boundaries to give them or whatever.
I think that's true of everything.
And Lala was like, I think you've gotten my respect. And Ariana pushed back and said, the way you're talking right now is not very respectful. Being like, I don't get it. You're not being very respectful.
Yeah. I mean, she doesn't need to get it. And it's just like, let it go, Lala. You don't need to get it. It's her boundary. Yeah. That's all that matters. And I am the farthest from the Ariana stan that exists.
I don't know that there's evidence to support that during this episode right now.
Thank God there's evidence on Instagram, and that's all that I care about.
It's gonna hold up in
court. Yeah, from that other podcast I was on where I was like, of course they used that clip.
Well, and there's, of course, that video footage of you throwing tomatoes at her when she was on Broadway.
Well, yeah, of course. And lettuce. Iceberg lettuce heads, yeah.
You were like, make a BLT, bitch.
Yeah, that's what I famously said.
Verbatim quote.
Chucked it.
Yeah.
So last night it wasn't all about Lala. Tom Schwartz did spend some time in the hot seat. There were a lot of questions about his situationship with Jo Wenberg.
AKA Jack.
Shut up. I knew you were going to say that. For context, Richies. We were on a podcast.
We were on Up and Adams.
Up and Adams. And I was like, yeah, what about Jack? And Brooke and Adam were like, the fuck are you talking about? Like, yeah, Jack.
We're like, Joe?
It's one of those
Classic.
J names that
Classic
are traditionally for men that I just wasn't thinking of.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Schwartz started seeing Jo casually after he and Katie Maloney divorced. And Jo popped up this season quite a few times. Yeah. Always just
very chaotic.
Just like whenever they would like zoom to like the core group, always the women talking about Jo. And it was just like, come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Jo was seen out with Schwartz, and it was clear that they had different ideas about what their relationship was and where it was headed.
Yeah.
And on last night's episode, Schwartz got a lot of shit for stringing Jo along, which I loved. I loved
really
that the girls
did.
were holding his feet to the fire.
They really came for his neck. So Schwartz said he never misled Jo about the relationship, but Lala was not having it. She said that he makes Jo feel fucking nuts. Ariana also chimed in, and she questioned why Schwartz refused to call the connection with Jo a relationship. Like, he just would not say relationship.
I can't stand guys like that. People like that. It's just like,
yeah.
What do you do? It's not committing. And it's like the person on the other side, it's like, I wish for them to have enough self-respect to walk away, because it's like they don't respect you enough.
And then Lala jumped back in and accused Schwartz of mentally manipulating Jo. And she said, it is wild to watch you gaslight her. You're saying all these positive things, but you can't call it a relationship. Jo, of course, agreed with everyone about Schwartz's, intentions not being clear. And even Katie, who is famously Schwartz's ex-wife, came to Jo's defense. And she was very tough on Jo this season. So
yeah,
this was a lot to see. And she said that she felt bad for Jo after watching their situationship play out on the show. And she called Schwartz's actions fuckboy behavior.
Yeah.
She's not
it's
wrong.
like, did you feel bad about watching how you talked about Jo on the show?
I know. And she did apologize in a Katie way.
Yeah, after
she
Andy
said that,
Cohen
and everyone was like,
"Are you sorry?" She did not offer up an apology until it was prompted, and I was like, "This girl's being a bitch."
Yeah,
like just the thing, because it's like, and she was like explaining it, and she was like, and I get it, like I get, everything's gonna be heightened emotionally. You're going through a divorce. I get that.
Yeah,
but there was no pro-offered apology. She like had to be like, so, and he was like, "So are you sorry?" And she's like, yeah. And they were like, that's as good as you're going to get. And it's like, fuck that. Like,
yeah, they were like, that's a very Katie, that's an apology
like,
from Katie.
That's bullshit. I don't. And I was starting to fuck with Katie. And now I'm like, nope, back to I don't like her. Still no one on the show I like. Everyone's pissing me off.
What about Lisa?
I was just going to say, except for Lisa.
Okay, well, you need to watch
She really is a great little wallflower in these reunions.
Lisa, it's like, God. It's wild.
All right. We got 2 under our belts, Brooke. What'd you think of this episode?
I thought it was good. I was actually really surprised to see everyone come for Schwartz so hard. I loved it, though. I like that they're calling him out on it, because Schwartz, and I've said this to you, when you're like, I love Schwartz, I would date him or whatever. And I was like, yeah, Schwartz, it's easy
I'd still date him. I don't want to be in a relationship with him, but I would still date him. I think he's really hot.
Oh, I agree that Schwartz is hot. I think he's super cute. And he's sweet and he comes off
very
sweet.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
there's these things that he does that
Yeah.
he kind of hides under the sweetness. And you're like, oh, that's kind of fucked up, man.
Yeah.
And like Jo actually did an Instagram live and she read a text that Schwartz had sent her because he's like dating someone else now.
Yeah.
And it was kind of rude. Like the way he was texting her, he's like, you know, you're crazy. I don't know if this isn't verbatim, but he was like basically like, you know, you're crazy. Don't text me anymore, blah, blah, blah. And it's very unlike the Schwartz we saw conversing with Jo during the season. So, you know, Jo's chaotic.
Yeah.
I get it. But like,
I didn't love how he was like, because Andy was like, you know, what relationship are you? Like, you're in a relationship now. He's like, well, out of respect for Jo. And
I know.
She's like, it's like, fuck off, Tom.
All
Stop
of a
acting like
sudden.
you're a hero here. But yeah, that was the time when I was like, yeah, girls, get him.
Yeah. And I it kind of bums me out though that there's been a falling out between Katie, Lala, Ariana, and Sheena, because I do like when the four of them kind of stick together and support each other, and I hate to see it falling apart, but
it's almost
guess
like
we'll find out.
These relationships are all manufactured.
Arisha, how dare you? How dare you?
You know what I am. I like to call it like I see it.
Okay, you're a truth teller. I forgot. A truth teller.
All right. Well, hopefully the third episode, you know, just brings it all together because it's going to be the series finale. I'm just sure of it.
Yeah. Well, the third part of the finale is going to give them an Emmy. I can just tell by all the crying.
Oh my God. If I have to see one more clip of Tom Sandoval straining to cry.
I know.
Like, give those neck veins a break, kid.
Yeah.
From Wondery, I'm Arisha Skidmore-Williams.
And I'm Brooke Sifrin. This is Rich and Daily.
See you tomorrow, Richies.
If you like our show, please follow us on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or wherever you're listening right now.
Be sure to follow us on all socials at Arisha Skidmore-Williams and at Brooke Sifrin. We love to connect with you.